Chris Cody, do me the favor, please, of playing the stat of the day music here. It's got a little heartbreak in it today locally.
Start of the day, start of the day, it is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day, it is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day, it is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day, it is the start of the day.
Jazz Chisholm became the first Yankee to hit 4 homers in his first 3 games. It's never happened before. It's a pretty historic franchise.
One of them was against a position player.
Yeah.
Okay, but in 403 games with the Marlins, Jazz had 3 multi-home run games. In 3 games with the Yankees, he has 2 multi-home run games.
That's a better stat, I think.
Just needed people watching.
Is there heartbreak, though? Is there heartbreak?
Well, I'll
locally?
tell you
What's the
what.
feeling?
You say we're going to bring David Samson in here from Nothing Personal, but I will tell you that after saying earlier this week that when the Marlins made that trade, my initial feeling was good for Jazz. He'll get to play with another team. When I saw him strutting around third base, electricity in the ballpark, pimping out the trot, I felt bad. Like I felt bad for South Florida seeing him in a Yankee uniform. You can't control how you feel in that moment. I was surprised that it's how I felt.
I'm surprised you felt that way because I don't think Jazz has done enough, and I don't think the fans care enough about him if he goes somewhere else and wins a World Series with the Yankees. I don't think anyone's going to care. For me, Sam Darnold, who the Jets drafted, he is now the starting quarterback in Minnesota. If he turns into a great quarterback in Minnesota, that is a reason to be upset. That's a reason to be sick to your stomach because you had him as a Jet. He went to Minnesota. He turned into a great player. I don't think anyone cares about Jazz Chisholm down here.
That's not true.
Oh, come on. You think he has some sort of attachment to the city where people care that Jazz is doing it in New York?
People who care
Nuts.
about the Marlins. What do you mean? What do you think, Samson? What are your thoughts here?
I rooted against every single player I ever traded. And I wanted them to get off to cold starts. I wanted to be proven right as quickly as possible. And believe me, the Marlins brass, as they watch what Jazz has done, they'll rationalize it by saying it's only a few games, and they'd be correct. Overreaction is exactly what you're doing, but the stat is the stat, but it's not what you want to see. You want to see your pitchers get rocked, and you want to see your position players go into a slump, especially with what the Marlins did yesterday, which I believe is great for the franchise. And I never had the guts to do what they did. Not what you want to see. You want to see me of doing. And believe me, we did a bunch of redos. Yesterday really was one of the great one-day redos in the history of a franchise that's had a lot of days.
Stugotz, why would you think that Marlins fans, Jazz Chisholm is not only their biggest name player, was their biggest name player, but he's the only national star that they had. He's the only thing that they had that had personality and marketing behind it.
First of all, David is speaking from a president of a Major League Baseball team standpoint. So, of course, when he made a trade, he would root for himself to win that trade. Doesn't want the player to perform well. I understand that. I just don't think Marlin fans, he wasn't traded to Philadelphia. It's not Atlanta. It's not the Mets. He's in the American League playing for the Yankees, and I don't think he did enough down here for Marlin fans to be glued to their television, sick to their stomach because he's hitting home runs in the Bronx.
It can just hurt. It doesn't have to be glued to television, sick to stomach.
I like Jazz, but I'm in the grand scheme of Marlin fire sales, I'm with Stugotz. This one doesn't even make the medal stand.
Right.
This is like we traded away Ozuna, Yelich, and Stanton. We traded away Gary Sheffield. This is nothing compared to those.
The only thing, and I'd like to see hear what David has to think about this. The only thing is because he's young, if he does turn out to fill his potential somewhere else, could that have happened here? But if he turns out to just be maybe a 1-2-time All-Star, has a nice little career there with the Yankees,
yes.
I don't think anybody in Miami or South Florida really cares about
Not just young, though. Fun and interesting, too. It's not
Average.
just young.
He's average, Dan. I know you're excited about him because he was on the front of the show. That was all Jeter doing that. All the talk of Jeter being his idol, and it was all ridiculousness. Jazz needed to be traded off this team, and the fact that he was given to the Yankees, whatever happens with the Yankees is fine. He's not the star. He's not the center of attention. He's gotten off to a good start, and that's going to maybe give him the false sense that he's the center of some amount of attention. But wait till he goes 1 for 13 in New York. In Miami, it gets ignored with one camera. In New York, you're on the back page of the Post. So be careful what you wish
Dave,
for.
you're saying he is average, and so far, numerically, if this is the player that he is, and he's been injured, then you will not be wrong on that. But I'm not wrong when I say rare is the player that has that kind of power at that size. Rare is the player that has the skill set that this person does. He can grow. His potential is bigger than his production has been thus far. And I believe that he can be an above average player. He is not an average baseball player.
You're just wrong. You've described hundreds and thousands of players who didn't live up to what their potential could be, what they were scouted to be. They had the body to be better. It's just what you're saying. It's full of emotion. I get it. You're an emotional person.
Dave, you cannot tell me I'm wrong in that amount of pop at that size. I am not wrong about that.
Dan, the players voted him the most overrated player in major leagues. In the major leagues. Think about that. The players voted.
Because of the amount of attention he's gotten while playing for the Marlins.
Well, because he's average.
His production so far has been that, but I believe he's going to be better than that. And I believe when he gets a chance to do it in a place that he's enthusiastic about playing, that outside of injuries, that he will be better than that. I'm not arguing with you that the production hasn't lived up to the hype. I'm not arguing that part.
$5
for
Tone.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Over Jazz. I mean.
I can't believe the hill you're going to die on is the Jazz Chisholm hill.
You and Billy.
It's staggering, the fact that you don't really have any discretion when it comes to your hills anymore.
You and Billy really care about this franchise, and I kind of recognize being the lone angry voice, like why isn't anyone caring as much as I do? And I think that's where you're at with the Marlins. I mean, they were blacked out here in the market on a major carrier for most of the season.
That goes understated.
And most people were like, it's fine, better off that.
And they were in last place.
But
they didn't break up. This wasn't me trading away great players. This was a team trading away last place players. Let's not exaggerate what went on yesterday.
Yeah, and I think my detachment from the Marlins was exactly what Mike said. It was them not being on TV. I'm not going out of my way, paying extra to watch them. That was a detachment, as far as I'm concerned, as a fan, while they were doing good, because I couldn't see them.
You guys can be detached all you want about the fact that they've killed baseball down here so thoroughly that Chris Cody is like, yeah, I'll take a beating. It's not as bad as all the other beatings I've taken. I'll take this beating. This beating seems like it hurts less because it's not my entire outfield.
But we are a last place team, Dan. Like,
Right.
what are they building around
Why
here?
keep 'em? Yeah.
Like, if we were in contention, I would agree with you. But it's just there's like Tanner Scott, Arise, and Jazz Chisholm. It's just like, yeah, fine.
It's the lone thing that I miss about being a Browns fan is that nothing can break me. I've seen it all.
Exactly.
Nothing can hurt me
Yep.
worse.
Achilles, 4 plays in.
What do you think of the trade deadline movement in general, David?
I love it. Listen, when they changed from 2 deadlines to 1, here's a little nugget for you. There's no August deadline anymore. So this is the final deadline. What your roster is what your roster is right now. And MLB did it trying to win a day. And I think they won the day. There were 30 trades made. The Olympics were going on, yet people were very focused on all the movement in baseball. And you try to do it. Roger Goodell is the king of this. He wants to win a day, and he finds so many different ways to win days. And this one was for MLB.